Hey everybody, it's the Professional Lovers in Training, Patty and
Ow.
Patty and Al. I'm exhausted. Can I just say that? Tonight's episode just was exhausting.
Yeah.
It even got to a point where it was kind of ticking me off so much. All of the immature behavior. People who are like in their 30s and late 20s, but 30s, acting like they're 15 and 16. But
I'm going to take my toys and go home.
yeah, tonight was kind of painful to watch on many different levels.
Yeah.
So let's just start with Katie and Derek. Remember how I think last week we were saying how Michael has some issues that he really needs to get counseling for? Mm-hmm. Katie's really got some issues that she needs to get counseling for.
Yeah, she has some major insecurities.
And she even said on their ride to the retreat that the reason that many of her relationships ended was because of her insecurities. And this relationship is going to be no different.
Really?
Because she is so insecure that she creates issues.
She sabotages the relationship.
And by creating issues that are not really there. And she really has a need to be made to feel good about herself. And that's a lot of weight to put on someone else's shoulders.
Anybody.
It is not Al's responsibility to make me feel good about myself if I don't already. And it's not my responsibility to make him feel good about himself if he doesn't already. Because here's the bottom line. If you don't feel good about yourself, there is nothing anyone can do to make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to be you're going to be constantly trying to
uplift and build up,
or making someone prove that you're good enough for them,
which takes a lot of energy.
Man, that's just too much energy. You have to have worked through that before you become part of a couple.
And that's part of what I always say about our relationship. We met in our early 30s. And fortunately, I believe we met after growing pains. The getting to know you part, to getting to know yourself.
Right.
Was pretty much over and done with.
Yeah.
Which is why when we were told that we were going to be introduced to each other.
Right. When the people who were going to set us up were talking to, the wife was talking to me, the husband was talking to him. And we both said,
I don't want to waste her time if she's not serious. If this, and it wasn't serious about having a relationship.
Right.
But it wasn't playtime.
Yeah. And I said the same thing. Is he serious? I'm not interested in playing games. And, so yeah, we were both on that same wavelength because we've been through all that already.
Exactly.
You've been through the game playing, you've been through the cat and mouse stuff, you've been through, and I had been alone for, quite some time and was okay. So I wasn't interested in having my being alone, being comfortable being alone, being disrupted by drama.
Exactly.
And so Katie has a lot of insecurities, and she made a statement that just tripped me out. After the initial evening, now first of all, everybody in that evening is drunk, okay?
Yeah.
So everybody is impaired, right? And if you have been impaired by alcohol or any other kind of substance, you don't think clearly. You don't react clearly, and lots of things are said
Nothing
and
is
done
clear. Nothing is clear.
that probably, you would regret the next day. So anyway, the next day after she and Derek, who by the way was trying to talk to her the whole time, but she was blowing him off and constantly making it his issue.
Yeah.
Everything was his issue. You're not making me feel special. You're acting a certain way with all the other wives, but you're not acting that way with me. But then when he would try to act that way with her, she's pushing him away. So everything is his issue, when actually everything is her issue. Okay?
She's creating the drama.
She's creating the drama. Okay, but then we get to the next morning and she says, "Don't make me jealous, Derek." Isn't that what she said?
Yeah. Just don't make me jealous.
Don't make me jealous. Like, how can Derek make you jealous? Derek doesn't. I felt so sorry for him. He doesn't even know what he is or is not doing. He is so confused. And he's confused because it has nothing to do with him.
Really?
And so don't make me jealous is like Derek is responsible for
her feelings.
Yeah. No. That's not how that works. Okay?
Yeah.
You choose to feel how you feel.
But now, with the trip about it, and you recognized it, she's a mental health professional.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to feelings, one should know that you own your feelings.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else that you do have, it's your feelings. And there's reasons why you feel a certain way. But it's your feelings. It's not because somebody made you feel that way. You feel that way for a reason.
Right. Right. And sometimes, and your feelings are valid, but don't make somebody else responsible for your feelings.
Exactly.
That's not how that works. I did like the fact that that night, that Derek kept trying to talk to her about it. Level. And he didn't want to go to bed with that, issue. But unfortunately, he had to. But that makes me think about, our book. We have to talk from our book, some principles from Becoming a Professional Lover. There's a principle in there that says, never go to bed angry. Now, what that really means is, as far as possible, when you have a disagreement, when you have, some issues that an argument, debate, whatever you want to call them, you don't want to go to bed with that between you. But the reality is that everybody has their own way of processing information. And some people need to process longer than other people. Some people are not, quick with how they respond or
their words.
Yeah. And so they need a little time to process and that's okay.
Case in point, the communicator in this video is here. I'm the wingman.
No, you do your fair share of communicating, but on a professional side, I am a professional communicator. Okay, but the bottom line is sometimes it may not be conducive to hash out and resolve the issue before you go to bed. And then people have different times to go to bed. I'm an early to bed person. He is not. So often I'm in bed sleeping before, when he gets there. So there are different reasons why people may not be able to completely resolve an issue before they go to sleep. But you may want to say that, and express that.
Don't leave it unattended.
Right.
So if you agree to discuss it first thing in the morning before you go, in their case, go deal with everybody else. Let's resolve this. Let's do something. to resolve whatever it was we were dealing with yesterday. And I mean, in their attempt, they did do something in the morning, which I commend them for.
Right.
But again, he's not. I don't think Derek has changed at all. He's being who he is.
Exactly.
And he's even said that I'm just trying to be me. I mean, he gets flustered around her because of some of the situations and predicaments that she creates.
Yeah.
By her insecurities.
Which leads to another tip that she displays, which is, our tip says, again, from our book, Becoming a Professional Lover, oneness in harmony, not sameness, holds a marriage together. In other words, the harmonious part between spouses is the fact that you're going after the same goals in your family and in your marriage. You're on the same path, but you don't do things the same way. Yeah. And neither should you require each other to do things the same way. And, we, for the most part, we allow each other that. But sometimes, we have our moments.
I mean, everybody has a preference.
And everybody believes that their preference is the right preference, the right way. But as we bring out in our book, when you get to those points where you're kind of clashing because you have different ways of doing things, you need to ask yourself, is this a matter of value or is it a matter of style? If it's a matter of value where you have differing values, then that's something you've got to talk out and come to a compromise, negotiate a compromise or an agreement with. But if it's not a matter of value and a matter of style, then you need to that's not an issue. Yeah. You got to let it go. Okay? So, and so Katie seems to always think that Derek needs to be doing everything the way she thinks he needs to be done. Yeah. And then accuses him of not being serious enough, not, and she was using a lot of I always initiate. He never, and those words always never.
I carry the relationship.
Yeah. Now maybe there's some things again going on off camera that we don't see. So we can't, but this is what she's relating. And what we have seen on camera, I don't see that. I don't see that she's carrying the whole relationship and he does nothing. I don't see that. But bottom line, Katie, get some help. Okay. Nothing to talk really about the golden couple, which is Jessica and Austin.
Hey. I mean, I commend him for just deciding to get out, go. Because eventually other people's
negative energy
weighs on you.
It does.
Because it can even make you feel guilty for being as happy as you are.
Well, it was making Jessica feel guilty.
Yeah.
She already said that. That's why she didn't really like to share with the group because they're doing so well and it makes you feel self-conscious that you're not having the same kind of, because everybody had drama on this retreat this weekend. Everybody. Okay. Oh, which leads us to Taylor and Brandon and Mika and Michael. Brandon and Michael fed off of each other. Both had attitudes.
From the ride up.
From the beginning. Both had attitudes. Both shut down and ignored their wives. Didn't communicate at all.
Now, Brandon did say something, and again, my personal feeling is that it was an incomplete story, but he said that the day before, Taylor wanted to hang out with her friends, and it was only supposed to be for a few minutes. She texted him back saying that she was just dropping somebody off, and somehow ultimately ended up falling asleep where they were,
Where
wherever
she
they
was,
were at,
right.
and it was a
basically
hotel,
didn't come home.
and didn't come home until the next day.
Right.
Now, as that sounds, yeah, I would have issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I get the feeling there's more to the story because on camera, when
they were yelling
Taylor
at each other
was
about
defending
it,
herself,
right,
she didn't let him say anything.
Yeah.
And there were certain things that with her defense of herself, she came up with, you decided to go to work, so I decided to go hang out with my friends. Okay, so there was
because she had to drive him into DC
right.
to go to work.
So there was something that preempted.
Yeah, again, lots of stuff off camera that we didn't see that precipitated that drama. But two things on Taylor's tip. Brandon accused her of not thinking as a married woman, still thinking as a single person, always wanting to hang out with her girls and stuff. Now, that is a problem that a lot of newly married couples experience, especially if as a single person, you had a routine of, like you had a routine of playing basketball after work, playing basketball all day Saturday, you know, and hanging out with the fellas. That was his routine. So once we get married, if you're just getting married to see your spouse at home, because he worked in DC, I worked in Baltimore. So we didn't work in the same place. We were going to meet at home. It would be very easy for him to hang out in DC after work. It'd be very easy for me to hang out in Baltimore after work and then just see each other at home. But that's bringing a single person's mentality into now an us situation.
And basically what allowed me to understand that was when we did discuss it, Patty determined it or defined it as default time.
Right.
Default time is not quality time. You know, you happen to live at the same address. So
yeah, if you're married and you live in this, right.
You know, and
you sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
You're going to end up eating together because you're in the same house. So it's like, well, I see you at home.
Yeah, no.
I see you at breakfast.
That's not quality.
I see you, at bedtime.
That's default.
That's default togetherness.
And it made me conscious of how I was thinking maybe. And it's not that it was done a lot, but again, we have a tendency not to let things get to a breaking point.
Right.
You know, we'll allude to it, we'll discuss it, we'll talk about it, and we may come back to it, but we don't let it eat at us or
fester.
Our relationship.
Don't let it fester.
Right. Yeah. So I understood it. And I adjusted. And so I decided to play ball on Sunday.
And look, it's not that you cannot hang out with your crew ever again. It's about balance. If you want to be able to hang out with your crew whenever you want to, however long you want to, stay single. If you're blending your life with someone else, see, relationships, whether friendships, intimate, whatever, require time. And energy that's invested into it. So if you get married, then the bulk of your investment should be going to the relationship with your spouse.
Yes.
And then a small portion of investment is going outside with your friends and
others.
your independent activities elsewhere. And that kind of thing. But if you want your marriage to become strong,
that should be your focus.
That's where the bulk of your investment is.
Your energy.
Yes, that's time. The bulk of your energy and your time is going. And let me tell you, we're talking about other friends, Taylor and other friends, but that includes social media, the amount of time you spend on Twitter, the amount of time you spend on Facebook, the amount of time because I have had issues. He's a Facebooker. I do it maybe once a week. Since I just don't have time and the desire to be on Facebook all the time. if I'm not getting needs met, well, for me,
I know.
multiple times a day is all the time. Whether or not you're only spending 2 or 3 minutes on Facebook, it's still like all the time. So, but and there have been times when usually if I'm not getting some needs met that I have, and it seems like his attention is going more toward Facebook, that annoys me, and I've said that.
She let me know.
Uh,
So I adapt, I adjust. First I assess, and I said, well, okay, maybe I am, and I'll look at the times when I am doing what she feels that I'm taking time away from us, and she may be right.
Because when we're talking, I like the person to be kind of looking at me to make me feel like they're engaged.
But to relate it to a particular point, just like what Katie, just yes. What Katie said about don't make me jealous.
Yeah.
What you were saying was, I feel, your words, I feel like that's more important to you.
Right.
And she may be feeling jealous or whatever, but it's not me making her feel jealous.
Right.
She's expressing how she feels from what she sees. That it's occupying time that she feels we could be sharing.
So it's really. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I can't say that it shouldn't make her feel that way. That's her feelings.
Right. But he can explain it.
But
he can look at it.
And I should also acknowledge her feelings. Mm-hmm. So I spend less time on Facebook.
It's a balance thing, people. It's a balance thing.
She's worth it.
Thank you, honey. And he's worth it too.
Anybody's spouse should be worth it.
Absolutely. So be careful with the friends that you have, that you had when you came into the marriage, friends that you make during the marriage. Mm-hmm. They should be incorporated into the couple's
friendship.
Right. You should not have a whole lot of friendships outside of the marriage, because again,
independent friendship.
Right. Because again, we're talking about the investment of time and energy into those relationships that could be being taken away from the two of you. Michael and Mika, he again shutting down, but at least he came back.
Yeah.
Now, once again, he was put on the hot spot when his explanations weren't making sense to anyone. Not just Mika, but his explanations were not making sense to anyone. Now, the one thing that I didn't appreciate, and I've always been very careful, even if I feel like I'm right, I don't ever want to embarrass my husband in front of other people. I think that's disrespectful. If he's the most important person to me, and if he's the one that I love, now again, we can't say love in this situation because
they don't know each other.
But you don't want to embarrass a person, your spouse, in front of other people. Yeah. And it was enough to see
where everybody questioned how he was trying to put his story together.
Right. And it was good that everybody else saw that. Mm-hmm. But Mika did not have to say, see, he's always lying. He's always lying. I just tell him that if he was just and how is he supposed to feel behind that? So he got up and left, because even with it being wrong, if he were, again, falling into his habit of not being totally honest, putting somebody on blast like that in front of everybody, not a good move.
True. I mean, that's definitely not an element that you want to put into the middle of a relationship that is already fragmented, that you're trying to mend.
Yeah.
And what I really believe, along with his issues and his self-esteem issues, is that he is not a good communicator. I really don't think he's a good communicator. He doesn't.
He shuts down.
Yeah. Well, not only does he shut down, if you listen to his words, they're very superficial. They address a question, but they don't give you any type of substance. And he's just not a communicator. And I get the feeling that he always thinks that substance is a totally different element that he has to express in a certain way.
Instead of just being direct like she is.
Yeah. And I mean, I have grown, and I throughout these weeks, I have thought that Mika was just a little too pointed.
Yeah.
But I appreciate her because she is pointed. And there's
you
no
never have
mincing.
to guess where she is
Exactly.
and what she's thinking, because she will tell you straight out.
But I truly do believe if he communicated with her, she could become everything that he needs for him to become what he can become.
Well,
and it's just supportive. I don't think that she's not supportive. She doesn't even know what to support because she doesn't know who he is.
Yeah. And she can't trust him.
Yeah.
Well, we know that communication is an issue. That is a big issue between couples. Fortunately, we have a similar communication style. And that has worked for us in many different ways. But the reality is that there are lots of couples where the communication style is completely different. And you need to know that before you get into it. Because that has to be something that you come to, that you grow in, and that you mature in. Okay. We've seen so many immature communication styles in this show. And especially tonight, it was just mind-boggling.
It was painful. It was truly painful.
Yeah. What'd you say? This made you almost not want to watch the show again.
Yeah, it questions on if this is how things potentially can go. And I understand that it's a production and things roll, and, you know, some drama is good for the camera, what have you. But this...
It was painful.
Yeah.
And I hope that next week is better, but you know, you do want to make sure that whomever you're with, that you learn a communication style and the ability to listen and not just talk.
Yeah.
And which is another skill that most people have to mature into, is the right way to listen. Then things, you know, at least you don't dissolve into the kind of drama that we saw tonight.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Wasn't a whole lot of listening going on.
Wasn't a lot of listening going on. And so with that, I think that's our recap for this week. You see, we've got the coronavirus staying in the house look with the hat on tonight. Hope you guys are staying safe, and following, you know, the state's orders and all of that, because this virus is real.
Very.
And, you know, just take the right precaution. And for you couples who are kind of stuck together now, working at home together, you know, communication really becomes important, and having some fun becomes important as well.
Being creative.
Helps. So stay safe, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Take care. Bye-bye.